Tonight, shadows have voices. Listen closely before they whisper you away. I had always regarded the tales from Vermont's Green Mountains as harmless folklore, rural fancies born from fog, isolation, and long winters. Strange lights after storms, voices in the woods, shapes half buried in river mud. These were the trappings of superstition, not science. But in the summer of 1927, the floods came. The Winooski burst its banks, drowning fields and villages alike. And among the wreckage, the newspapers printed rumors of bodies, neither human nor animal, washed ashore in grotesque confusion. At first, I dismissed it. I was Albert Wilmarth, professor of literature and folklore at Miskatonic University, and I prided myself on skepticism. Yet a letter soon arrived that disturbed the calm of reason I so carefully maintained. It came from Henry Wentworth Akeley, a retired scholar living deep in the Vermont hills. His tone was courteous but urgent. Professor Wilmarth, you will think me fanciful, yet I must write. The flood has laid bare things long buried, things that move in the night. I have heard voices that do not belong to any throat, and found prints that no known creature could make. He enclosed photographs, grainy, but oddly organic, grooves in the mud, like long fingers, or roots that had learned to grasp. I wrote back politely, asking for details, but something in his words lingered. A steady reason beneath the terror, a man clinging to logic while staring into madness. His next letters came quickly, each more desperate. He described humming tones that rolled across the hills at dusk, vibrations that seemed to tremble in the bones rather than the air. Trees whispered on windless nights. Once, he claimed to see figures among them, glimpses of motion that vanished when he looked directly. They move without sound, he wrote, but their silence presses against the house. It listens. I told myself it was hysteria, the isolation of a lonely man in wild country. Yet his precision unsettled me. Dates, times, even sketches of strange stone circles near his home. He called the unseen beings Migo, the outer ones. By autumn, his letters had grown sparse. When they came, the handwriting trembled. They know I watch them, he confessed. Their music grows louder. The dogs howl long before I hear it. I will try to record the sounds before they take me. That was the last letter for months. Winter settled over Vermont, and I returned to my lectures, though at night my thoughts wandered northward, to a man alone in the dark, listening to whispers older than mankind. When spring came and another envelope from Townsend lay on my desk, I hesitated before opening it. For deep inside I already knew, once the unknown speaks to a man of reason, he will listen, no matter the cost. The letter I received that spring was unlike the others. Akeley's script was weaker, the lines uneven, as if written under trembling light. Yet his tone, half scholar, half desperate witness, compelled me to read every word. Professor Wilmarth, it began, I have done as I promised. I have obtained proof, sound, photograph, and stone, but I fear I cannot hold them long. They come by night now, and the woods no longer keep their silence. He enclosed a small phonograph record, crudely packed and nearly destroyed by moisture. When I played it, the room seemed to grow colder. First came static, then a low rhythmic hum, like a swarm of unseen wings echoing from vast distances. The sound rose, became a chorus of tones, half mechanical, half living, and beneath it, faintly, the suggestion of words. Not English, not any human tongue, but words nonetheless. I remember stopping the machine, my hand shaking. For the first time, I sensed that Akeley's fears might not be delusion. Days later came another package. Photographs of strange conical shapes half buried in forest soil, and fragments of stone carved with symbols that hurt the eyes to follow. Some of the markings resembled mathematical curves, others suggested anatomy, organs and wings that no earth-born species possessed. I wrote to him at once, urging caution, offering to visit. His reply was frantic, scrawled, and smeared with dirt. "Do not come yet," he warned. "They watch the roads. I have men from the hills, locals who have seen too much, guarding my place at night. Sometimes they shoot at shapes that leave no tracks. Sometimes they miss, and something howls that is not an animal." Each letter felt more like a message from the edge of sanity. Yet every sentence bore the weight of truth, the grammar perfect, the logic unbroken, as if his reason endured even while the world around him dissolved. One night, I dreamt of him. I saw his farmhouse under a sky of pale, unmoving stars. The trees leaned inward as if listening, and from the forest came a whisper, thin, insect-like, but filled with intention. When I woke, I found myself whispering back, though I knew no word I had spoken. Weeks passed. Then another letter came, his last before I met him. "They want me to join them, Professor. They say the body is a prison, that there are worlds beyond this one and they will take me there, carry my mind through the gulfs of space. I do not know if they lie. I only know that their whispers no longer frighten me." He ended with an invitation. "Come to Townsend when you can. I will show you everything. I have arranged for your safety. They know of you, and they are curious." I should have burned the letter. I should have destroyed the record, the photographs, the stones. Yet I kept them, and with each night that passed, I listened again to the recording, until I could almost hear patterns within the hum, as though the alien voices were calling me by name. Thus began the journey that reason could not prevent and curiosity would not forgive. The summer of 1928 arrived heavy with heat and silence. My lectures were done, the students gone, yet I found no rest. The letters, the sounds, the strange geometry of the stones, all haunted my waking thoughts. Then came the telegram, recovered from illness. All danger past. You must come. Proof complete. Akeley. It was brief, almost cheerful, and entirely unlike his earlier correspondence. That alone disturbed me. But 2 days later, a thick envelope followed, written in the same precise hand, though the tone was strangely detached, almost serene. "My dear Wilmarth, you will forgive my earlier anxieties. I have come to understand more fully the nature of our visitors. They are not hostile as I once believed, but explorers, scientists of another sphere. Their purpose is knowledge, not conquest. I have spoken with them at length and seen wonders beyond imagination." He wrote of star-born intelligences that travel the gulfs between worlds, bearing minds from one body to another as easily as man might send a letter. "They have shown me devices," he said, "by which thought may be transmitted without voice or wire. They can bear the human brain across the void to planets unseen by any telescope. I have heard the music of Yuggoth, where the black seas boil beneath cold suns. It read like madness, and yet the logic within it was disturbingly consistent. He spoke of physical principles that matched obscure hints from my own studies of folklore, sound vibration languages, transference of consciousness, ancient visitations buried beneath myth. Still, something in his tone chilled me. It lacked the tremor of fear that had filled every previous letter. Instead, it was calm, too calm, as though the man who wrote it had become a stranger to himself. "You will be safe here," he continued. "The beings have promised as much. They wish you to witness their proofs, and I have arranged lodgings for your arrival. The road to my farm is difficult, but a motor will meet you in Brattleboro." H.W. Akeley. I read that line again and again. It should have brought relief. Instead, it filled me with an unreasoned dread. The notion of Akeley, once trembling behind his barricaded doors, now serene and welcoming. The change was too great, too sudden. That night, as rain whispered against my windows, I played the phonograph record once more. The same humming tones filled the room, but this time, in the midst of the alien chorus, I thought I heard something new, a faint echo as if another voice, human, had joined in harmony with theirs. I could not tell whether it was Akeley's. In the days that followed, I corresponded briefly with him, arranging the journey north. Each reply was short, courteous, and oddly formal, as though written by someone performing a part. He assured me that the hills were quiet now, that the visitors had withdrawn to their laboratories deeper in the mountains, and that I would find the air clean, the nights peaceful. I wanted to believe him. I told myself I would go as an investigator, not a believer. Yet, when I sealed his last letter and placed it in my coat, a whisper crossed my thoughts. Not from outside, but within, he is waiting. But who waits in his place? Still, I packed my bags. Reason, after all, demands evidence, and I was about to receive more than reason could ever bear. The morning sun broke gently over the horizon, painting the valley in shades of gold and rose. As the village slowly stirred awake, the travelers readied themselves for the next leg of their journey, the mountains. The path ahead was steep and winding, flanked by towering cliffs and forests that seemed to stretch endlessly. The air, crisp and fragrant with pine, carried a sense of adventure that made every step feel alive. Liam adjusted his pack, checking that the ropes and supplies were secure. He glanced at Arya, who walked beside him with a quiet determination. "Do you think we'll find what we're looking for up there?" he asked, his voice tinged with both hope and apprehension. Arya's eyes, reflecting the morning light, held a mixture of confidence and mystery. "The mountains hold secrets," she replied softly. "Some are meant to be discovered. Others must find you." As they ascended, the terrain became more rugged. Loose rocks threatened each step, and the wind whistled through narrow passes, carrying with it whispers that seemed almost human. Every now and then a distant eagle would cry out from the cliffs above, reminding them of the wildness surrounding them. Despite the difficulty, there was a rhythm to their climb, a synchronization between body and environment that was almost meditative. Around midday, they came across a hidden clearing, a small plateau overlooking a cascading waterfall. The water, crystal clear, tumbled into a pool that glimmered like liquid sapphire. Liam dropped his pack and approached the edge, mesmerized by the beauty. "It's unreal," he murmured, reaching out as if he could touch the falling water. Arya knelt beside him, her hand brushing against his. "Places like this aren't just scenery," she said. "They're reminders. Reminders that there's more to this world than we understand. That the journey itself teaches us things we cannot learn elsewhere." After a brief rest, they pressed on. The mountain trails grew narrower, and shadows lengthened as clouds gathered overhead. A storm was approaching, and the first drops of rain began to fall, cold and sharp against their skin. They sought shelter under a cluster of ancient pines whose thick branches offered some protection. Lightning flashed in the distance, illuminating the craggy peaks and casting long, dramatic shadows over the forest floor. As night fell, the storm intensified, drumming on leaves and rocks, yet inside their temporary shelter, a sense of camaraderie and resilience took root. Liam started a small fire with difficulty, the smoke spiraling into the darkening sky. They shared a simple meal, but as felt significant, two travelers, isolated yet connected, sharing warmth and stories. Arya spoke of legends she had heard as a child, tales of spirits that guarded the mountains, and of hidden paths that only revealed themselves to the worthy. Liam listened, fascinated, realizing that every step of this journey was not just about reaching a destination, but about understanding the world and themselves. By the time the storm passed, the night was silent, filled only with the soft sounds of dripping water and distant animal calls. They lay under the shelter of the pines, exhausted but content, knowing that tomorrow the mountains would demand more of them. And yet, with every challenge faced, every obstacle overcome, they felt a growing certainty that the journey, however difficult, was worth every step. The first light of dawn filtered through the remnants of the storm, casting silver streaks across the soaked forest floor. Liam and Arya emerged from their shelter, the air crisp and fragrant with wet pine and earth. The mountains, though less menacing than yesterday, still held a sense of mystery, their peaks shrouded in mist. Each step forward felt heavier, yet every breath was filled with anticipation. Today, they were not just climbing, they were seeking the hidden valley that, according to Arya, few had ever seen. The trail led them along narrow ridges where a single misstep could mean disaster. Liam moved cautiously, relying on the strength of his legs and the steadiness of his mind. Arya, ever calm, seemed almost attuned to the mountain itself, her movements fluid, as if she could sense the safest path before they even set foot. "We're close," she said quietly. "The valley doesn't reveal itself easily. It waits until you've earned it." Hours passed, and the mist thickened, turning familiar landmarks into eerie silhouettes. The mountains whispered around them, the rustle of unseen creatures, the distant crash of waterfalls, the moan of the wind through the rocks. Yet amidst the tension, there was a strange beauty, a rawness that made their journey feel alive. Liam found himself marveling not just at the landscape, but at the courage and resolve it had taken to reach this point. As they rounded a bend, a sudden opening appeared through the fog. Liam blinked, unsure if his eyes were deceiving him. There it was, the hidden valley, cradled between towering cliffs, bathed in a soft golden light that seemed to defy the morning mist. The valley's floor was dotted with wildflowers, their colors vibrant even in the subdued light. A river meandered through the center, its surface reflecting the mountains above like liquid glass. Birds sang unseen in the trees, their melodies weaving through the valley like a delicate symphony. Liam's breath caught. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Words felt inadequate to capture the sight before him. Arya smiled, a mixture of satisfaction and reverence in her eyes. "Few ever see it. It's a place of truth. Here, the mountains test you, and only those who persevere find the reward." They descended carefully into the valley, each step carrying a sense of reverence. Every rock, every flower, every whisper of wind seemed alive, as if the valley itself acknowledged their presence. Liam knelt beside the river, cupping the clear water in his hands. It was cold, refreshing, almost electrifying. He felt a strange clarity, a connection to something greater than himself. Arya joined him, her gaze distant, as if listening to the valley's unspoken stories. Exploring further, they discovered ancient carvings etched into the cliffs, faded but unmistakable. Symbols of unknown origin, depicting creatures and humans intertwined, spoke of legends long forgotten. "The valley is more than beauty," Arya explained. "It's history. Knowledge preserved in stone. Those who leave without understanding will never grasp its secrets." As afternoon waned, a soft mist began to rise from the river, blanketing the valley in a dreamlike haze. Liam felt a quiet sense of peace settle over him, as if the valley had accepted them. Yet Arya's expression remained contemplative. "There's something more," she said, her voice barely audible. "The valley is alive. It tests not just strength but heart, and there's one final path we must take before our journey is complete." With renewed determination, they followed a narrow path that wound deeper into the valley, shadowed by cliffs that seemed to close in around them. The air grew cooler, and an uncanny silence fell, broken only by the occasional drip of water from overhead rocks. Liam felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Whatever awaited them was unlike anything they had faced before. As the sun dipped lower, casting long golden shadows, they reached a cavern partially hidden by a waterfall. The roar of the water masked their approach, yet within the cavern a faint glow beckoned them. Liam exchanged a glance with Arya. "This must be it," he said. She nodded, her eyes reflecting the light, and together they stepped forward into the unknown. Stepping into the cavern, Liam felt an immediate shift in the air. The roar of the waterfall faded into a distant echo, replaced by a serene hum that seemed to resonate from the very walls themselves. The soft glow emanated from crystals embedded in the stone, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the cavern floor. Every step Liam took echoed lightly, yet carried a sense of gravity, as if the cavern acknowledged their presence and measured their worth. Arya moved ahead, her hand brushing gently over the crystalline walls. "This is the heart of the mountains," she whispered, her voice reverent. "Legends speak of a place like this, hidden, untouched, alive. It tests those who enter, offering wisdom or caution, depending on what they seek." Liam's eyes widened. He could feel it too. A pulse, faint but steady, like the heartbeat of the mountain itself. In the center of the cavern, a shallow pool reflected the glowing crystals, its surface perfectly still. Liam approached cautiously, peering into the water. For a moment, He saw not his own reflection, but fleeting visions, memories, dreams, and possibilities intertwining. Each image lingered briefly before dissolving into ripples, leaving him breathless. Arya knelt beside the pool. "The mountain reveals truths," she said softly. "It shows you what is hidden within yourself, but only if you are willing to face it." Liam closed his eyes and took a deep breath, allowing the hum of the cavern to fill him. Images from their journey surfaced: the perilous climbs, the storm, the hidden valley, the river, and now this cavern. He saw not just the challenges, but the courage, the resilience, and the bond between him and Arya. The mountain seemed to ask, "Are you ready to understand the journey's purpose?" A soft breeze stirred within the cavern, carrying with it a whisper of wind and water. Liam opened his eyes to see Arya standing, her expression serene. "It's not just a place of beauty," she said. "It's a mirror. What you seek in the world must first be found within yourself." Liam nodded slowly, the weight of her words settling in. He realized that their journey had always been more than a quest for discovery. It was a test of spirit, heart, and perspective. Suddenly, the crystal's glow intensified, and the pool's surface shimmered like liquid silver. A vision unfolded before them, a vast landscape where mountains, rivers, and forests stretched beyond the horizon. And in the center, a small village, bathed in sunlight and tranquility. Liam recognized the village from his childhood dreams, a place he had longed for but never truly seen. "The mountain shows us what we are searching for," Arya said quietly. "But it also teaches that the journey, the trials, and the choices we make define what we truly find." Hours passed in silent contemplation. Liam and Arya understood that the heart of the mountains was not a treasure to possess, but a lesson to embrace. It was the courage to face challenges, the wisdom to recognize beauty, and the humility to learn from every step. As the light in the cavern began to dim, they knew it was time to leave, carrying not only memories, but insight that would guide them forever. Emerging from the cavern, the stars had begun to twinkle over the peaks. The hidden valley lay below, serene and eternal. Liam inhaled deeply, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment he had never known. Arya smiled beside him. "The journey doesn't end here," she said. "It continues in every choice, every path, every step we take. But now, you know the heart of the mountains, and it will always be with you." Together, they began their descent, the night cool and gentle around them. The wind carried whispers of the mountains, not of danger or challenge, but of guidance and grace. Liam realized that the peaks, the valleys, and the storms had shaped him in ways he could never have imagined. And as they walked side by side, he understood that the journey, the hidden places, and the trials were not just about reaching a destination. They were about discovering the courage, wisdom, and heart that had always been within him. The mountains stood silent and eternal, their secrets preserved, waiting for the next traveler brave enough to seek them. And Liam and Arya, having walked the hidden paths and embraced the heart of the mountains, carried its wisdom into the world beyond. "You have heard the whispers, but the darkness is never silent. Return again, and let the shadows find you. Subscribe, if you dare,